The storm above the Pacific rolled like a sleeping beast. Waves smashed against the hull of the Ines horizon, scattering white foam into the cold night. Lightning flashed across the clouds, revealing the silhouette of the largest deep-sea recovery vessel ever built by humankind. It wasn't here for treasure or wreckage. It was here for something no one could explain. Commander Elias Rains stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the endless black of the ocean. The hum of the ship's engines filled the air, low and steady. On the holographic map before him, a red marker blinked, deep in the trench, far below the reach of any sunlight. The coordinates were classified. Even the crew didn't know what exactly they were lifting. "Depth reading?" Elias asked, his voice steady but tight. 10,900 meters, said Lieutenant Voss, his operations officer. "The probe's sonar feed is coming through now." The holo display flickered. At first it looked like static, uneven waves of color representing the seafloor. Then, as the scan sharpened, a shape emerged. Not a geological formation, not a shipwreck either. It was smooth, deliberate, symmetrical. Everyone in the control room stared. "It's huge," whispered one of the technicians, "at least 300 meters across. Metallic density. There's something like a structure around it." Elias leaned closer. "You're saying that's not natural?" "Not even close, sir." He didn't respond right away. The trench was one of the most remote places on Earth, deeper than Everest was tall, crushing anything man-made that ventured too far. And yet, something down there had survived for God knows how long. He straightened, his reflection pale in the glass. "Prep the drones. I want visuals." Moments later, deep beneath the ship, a swarm of autonomous submersibles dropped into the dark. They descended silently, lights piercing the black water. As they fell deeper, the world above vanished, replaced by cold and pressure so immense it could shatter steel. The feed came online, shaky at first, then clear. The ocean floor stretched like a vast, empty desert. Strange life flickered in the distance, glowing threads of jellyfish, translucent creatures twisting through the void. Then, one of the drones caught sight of something unnatural. It rose from the seabed like a mountain, half buried in silt. Its surface was dark, metallic, and smooth, as if forged by hands that understood perfection. It wasn't corroded, wasn't broken. It looked asleep. The crew watched in silence. No one spoke. No one even breathed. "Rotate camera 3, Elias ordered quietly. "Focus on the markings." As the drone drifted closer, lights washed over a section of the hull. Symbols, sharp lines and curves, geometric but alien, stretched across it. They looked like writing, carved deep into the surface. The metal shimmered faintly as the lights passed, like it was reflecting something that wasn't there. "Commander," said Voss, his voice trembling, "that thing, it's old. There's no radiation, no corrosion, no biogrowth. It shouldn't look like that after even a century, much less longer." Elias nodded slowly. "Transmit everything to Central Command. Mark it Priority Black." The comms officer hesitated. "Sir, Priority Black means—" "I know what it means," Elias said. "Send it." The room fell quiet again. The faint creak of the ship's hull groaned under the storm. Outside, thunder rolled across the sea like distant artillery. Hours passed as data streamed in. The trench remained still, but the readings only grew stranger. The structure emitted faint electromagnetic pulses, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. It wasn't dead. By morning, the storm had cleared. The sun broke through thin clouds, painting the ocean in shades of silver and blue. Elias stood on the observation deck, a mug of coffee untouched in his hand. The horizon was endless, calm, deceptive. Behind him, the chief scientist, Dr. Mara Ishikawa, a proc. Head, her hair tied back, tablet in hand. She had barely slept, eyes red from hours of data review. "You saw it," she said quietly. "You've seen the scans." "I have," Elias replied. "What do you think it is?" Mara hesitated. "It's not human, not in design, not in material composition. There are alloys in that hull we can't even identify. But the strangest thing isn't the structure itself." She tapped her tablet, showing him a 3D scan. "It's what's inside. The hologram shifted. Beneath the smooth hull, faint outlines of chambers and corridors appeared. Deep within the core, there was something that looked like pods, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Could be cryogenic units, Mara said, or containment cells. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't just a ship. It was meant to carry something. Elias watched the projection silently. Living things? Possibly, but that's not the impossible part. She zoomed in on the central core. There's a power source still active, weak but consistent. It's been running for, based on isotope decay, roughly 12,000 years. Elias turned to her sharply. That's impossible. Agreed, yet there it is. He exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of it all pressing on his chest. The ocean had always been Earth's last mystery, but this changed everything. Command's going to want it raised, he said finally. You know what that means. Mara nodded. If that thing's still active, we might not want to wake it. Too late, Elias said. We already have. That night, as the horizon's floodlights burned against the waves, the deep-sea cables began to descend. Massive, reinforced, designed to lift submarines, not alien artifacts. Drones positioned magnetic anchors around the structure's edges. The winch systems strained as the lift began. Slowly, impossibly, the shape began to rise from the trench. Inch by inch, meter by meter. Silt clouds billowed around it like a rising storm. The ocean groaned under the strain, but the structure held, unbroken. Inside the control room, every eye was on the feed. It was like watching a ghost ascend from a grave. 15,000 meters and climbing, Voss reported. Integrity holding, no deformation. Then something flickered on the sensors. Sir, the hull temperature just increased by 3 degrees. From what? Unknown source. Mara stared at the screen. It's responding to the lift. It knows it's moving. No one spoke. Outside, the winches hummed. The cables shuddered, glistening under the floodlights as they pulled something vast from the depths of time. Half an hour later, the structure breached the surface. Water cascaded off its metallic skin like silver rain. The ship's surface glowed faintly under the sun, almost alive. Steam rose as if it were breathing for the first time in ages. Elias stepped out onto the deck. The ocean stretched around him, but his gaze was fixed on the colossal object that now floated beside the horizon. It dwarfed their vessel. Its surface was etched with symbols older than human civilization. As sunlight touched it fully, lines of light began to spread across the hull, tracing patterns that pulsed like veins. The crew watched in awe. Some took a step back, fear creeping into their eyes. What's it doing? Voss whispered. Mara's voice was barely audible. It's waking up. Elias felt the deck tremble under his boots. He didn't blink. For the first time in his career, after storms, wars, and years of commanding steel ships across dark waters, he realized that humanity might not be the first to sail these oceans. They had just pulled something ancient, something alive, from the ocean floor. And whatever it was, it remembered the sun. The alien ship floated beside the ENS horizon like a sleeping titan. Its surface shimmered under the morning sun, water streaming down its ridges in silver sheets. Engineers swarmed the deck, setting up stabilizers, cranes, and scanners. The sea was calm for once, but the air carried a heavy tension, the kind that came before history changed forever. Commander Elias Wren stood near the railing, watching as robotic arms extended toward the alien hull. He had given the order himself, the first contact with the artifact. Now, as the engineers in hazard suits approached, he couldn't help but feel they were trespassing on something sacred. Begin surface scan, ordered Dr. Mara Ishikawa through her headset. Her voice echoed through the deck speakers. A ripple of light swept across the ship's outer shell. The readings streamed into her tablet. Density, structure, unknown alloys, energy residues. None of it made sense. The material wasn't any known composite. It was lighter than titanium, harder than diamond, and still active at a molecular level. It was alive, in a way. One of the robotic arms probed a section of the hull with a plasma cutter. Sparks danced against the surface, and then vanished. The cutter's blade simply stopped working. System overload, one of the engineers muttered. It absorbed the heat. Elias frowned. Absorbed it? Completely, said Mara, staring at her readings. Like the hull converts energy into something else, it's self-sustaining. He looked back at the structure, its curved lines catching the sunlight. We're going to need to open it somehow, Mara hesitated. I think it might open itself. She was right. Without warning, the ship vibrated. A low hum passed through the horizon, deep enough to be felt in the bones. The sound was not mechanical, it was melodic, almost mournful. The sea around the vessel rippled in perfect concentric circles. The crew stumbled, covering their ears. What the hell is that? Then from the alien ship's side a circular section began to shift. Metal plates retracted like petals opening to light, revealing a dark tunnel within. Steam hissed out in long breaths. Elias gripped the railing. Stand down. Nobody moves until we're sure it's safe. The engineers froze. Even the sea seemed to pause. Mara's voice trembled slightly as she whispered, It's responding to us. Or to being home again, Elias said. Inside the tunnel, faint lights glowed blue along the walls. The air sensors detected oxygen, nitrogen. Breathable. The readings made no sense for something buried for 12,000 years, yet somehow the ship had maintained an atmosphere. Elias turned to Mara. Suit up a recon team, we're going in. Hours later, the first human footsteps echoed through the interior of an alien ship, the team of 6. Elias, Mara, 2 engineers and 2 security officers. Stepped carefully through the passage, their helmets casting beams of white light into the darkness. The walls were smooth, seamless, flowing like liquid metal frozen in motion. Strange patterns ran along them, symbols glowing faintly as the humans passed, as if the ship was aware of their presence. This architecture, Mara murmured, her voice soft with awe. It's organic, almost grown rather than built. Elias kept his hand near his sidearm. Just stay sharp. The corridor led to a wide chamber. The floor was lined with raised platforms, rows of them stretching into the gloom. As they approached, the lights embedded in the floor flickered to life, one by one, illuminating what rested on those platforms. Pods, dozens of them, transparent, crystalline. Inside each one lay a body. The silence that followed was complete. Elias stepped closer to the nearest pod. Inside was a humanoid form. Tall, slender, skin pale as marble. The being's features were delicate, almost human, but the proportions were off. The eyes, though closed, seemed too large, the limbs too graceful. It looked asleep, peaceful, untouched by time. Mara stared at her scanner, unable to speak for a moment. Commander, these aren't just humanoid. Their DNA, it's human. Elias turned to her. That's not possible. She showed him the readings. 99.98% identical. There are small variations, like evolutionary divergence, but it's us, or something that became us. Elias felt the air leave his lungs. You're saying these are ancestors? Or progenitors, she whispered. Maybe both. The rest of the team moved slowly among the pods, their lights catching the faces of the sleepers. Some were adults, some smaller, children perhaps. Each preserved perfectly as if frozen yesterday. Then one of the pods flickered. Elias snapped his head toward it. Did you see that? Yes, said an engineer, checking his readings. Energy surge. Small but rising. The pod's surface shimmered. Symbols across the floor began to glow, racing outward from its base like veins of light. Then, in the center of the chamber, a column rose from the floor, smooth silver shifting shape as it emerged. It projected a beam of light into the air, and within it, an image formed, a face, not living but digital. Pale, calm, eyes like blue fire, it spoke, the words melodic, unearthly, incomprehensible. Then the ship seemed to listen to itself, recalibrating. The next words came through clear and slow in English. We fled the war. The team froze. The holographic figure continued, voice steady, echoing in the vast chamber. We saved what we could. Our world burned. Our stars fell silent. We carried life to the blue planet, our refuge beyond the veil. If you find this, then our children live. Elias took a step forward, his heart pounding. Who are you? The hologram's eyes turned toward him, as if seeing him for the first time. "You carry our blood," it said softly. "You are the memory we left behind." Mara's hand trembled around her tablet. "This is a record," she said, "an automated message. It's been waiting for us." The hologram's tone changed, distant now, like a farewell. "We knew the wars would end us. We knew time would erase our names, but not our legacy. To the children of the ocean world, remember who you are." The light faded. The chamber dimmed again, leaving only the quiet hum of ancient machinery. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Elias exhaled. "Get every recording backed up, double it, triple it. We're taking this to command." As they turned to leave, Mara lingered near the central core, still staring at the now dark hologram pedestal. "Commander," she said quietly, "if that message was meant for us, then that means they knew we'd find it one day." Elias looked back at the pods, their still faces illuminated by the flicker of his helmet light. Maybe that was their plan all along. They began the walk back through the glowing corridor. As they neared the exit, the walls pulsed faintly again, slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Outside, the ocean was calm. The sky had gone from gray to gold as the sun began to set. The alien ship rested silently on the waves, its surface still gleaming with strange light. The world had changed, though no one beyond this crew knew it yet. Elias looked back once more before stepping out into the daylight. The ship seemed to be watching them, and somewhere deep inside it, unseen by any human eye, a second pod flickered softly, light spreading through its veins like waking blood. Something had heard them. Something was still alive. The ship was no longer silent. Through the night, faint vibrations pulsed through the NS horizon, like a giant heartbeat under the water. Every few minutes, sensors spiked, tiny electromagnetic surges rolling out from the alien vessel. The crew barely slept. Some said they could hear whispers in the hum, like distant voices carried through steel. Commander Elias Wren hadn't left the control deck in 12 hours. His uniform was creased, his eyes heavy, but his focus sharp. The holographic displays before him were a storm of data, energy readings, bioscans, signal patterns. All from the same source, the ship they had raised from the deep. Dr. Mara Ishikawa entered, carrying a thermos of coffee. Her expression was a mixture of exhaustion and awe. "It's changing," she said. "The ship's systems are reconfiguring themselves. The energy output is increased by 400%. Elias turned toward the large viewing window. The alien craft floated motionless on the sea, its surface glowing faintly blue beneath the dawn sky. The light wasn't random. It pulsed in waves, symmetrical, rhythmic, like breathing. "Still no sign of aggression?" Elias asked. "None," Mara said. "In fact, it almost seems aware of us. The pattern in the energy, pulses. It's consistent with a directed scan. It's watching." He frowned. Watching or communicating? She hesitated. Possibly both. On the lower deck, engineers in exosuits worked along the side of the alien ship, installing remote sensors and relay nodes. Every few seconds, static filled their radios, bursts of alien sound, rising and falling like a language trying to remember itself. Then, the pattern changed. Every display aboard the horizon flickered at once. The ship's hum deepened, resonating with a strange harmony. The crew froze, waiting. A tone cut through the air, soft, melodic. Then a voice, clear and steady, spoke through the comm system. "Descendants of Terra," it said. "You have awakened us." The bridge went silent. Elias stared at the speaker. "Is that external?" Mara's fingers danced across her console. "Yes. It's transmitting directly through our frequency bands. It's speaking to us." The voice continued, calm and ancient. "Your oceans cradle our bones. Your blood carries our memory. You are the legacy of those who fled the dark." Elias pressed the comms key. "This is Commander Elias Wren, of the Earth Navy vessel Horizon. Who or what are you?" The answer came after a moment's pause. "I am the memory of the Ark vessel Yanari, the last seed ship of the Seraph Dominion. I am the guardian of your beginning." Mara's eyes widened. "Seed ship," she whispered. "Like colonization. Affirmative, said the voice. We were not conquerors, we were survivors. Elias exchanged a glance with her, then spoke again. You said we are your descendants. How? We have no record of your species, no history of your civilization. There were none left to remember, the voice said softly. The war of extinction consumed our stars. We fled across the void, carrying fragments of our people. The blue world was our last refuge. We called it Asha. You call it Earth. Mara stepped forward, heart pounding. You mean your people came here 12,000 years ago? Yes, said the voice. Our ships fell silent beneath your oceans. Our bodies perished. But your kind endured. You adapted. You forgot the stars, but you survived the dark. Elias felt a chill creep through him. So humanity didn't start here? The voice hummed quietly, almost like a sigh. You are of here now. You are both child and heir. You became this world as we hoped you would. The bridge fell silent again. The truth hung heavy in the air. Humanity was not a creation of chance, but a continuation of something far older. Then the voice changed. Its tone grew fainter, more fragile. But the stars that burned us, they still burn. The silence we fled may yet find you. We detect signals, distant but familiar. Elias turned sharply. What signals? The hunters, said the voice. They were the end of us. If they have survived the millennia, they will seek the spark that was lost. The signal of this awakening may draw their gaze. Mara's face drained of color. You mean we've just told them we're alive? Yes, the voice said quietly, and that was always the risk. Elias clenched his jaw. Then we'll be ready. Humanity's not the same species that fled the stars. There was a faint hum like amusement. You speak as your ancestors did, defiant. It was that defiance that carried us to this world. The voice paused again, then continued. There is much I can give you. The ship still carries knowledge, your true history and the means to defend it. But the key must be given willingly. What key? Asked Mara. Your blood, the AI said. Only the descendant of the first bloodline may awaken the core fully. Elias frowned. And how do we know who that is? You do not, said the voice. But the ship does. Later that night, under the floodlights, the crew gathered around the open hatch of the alien vessel. The AI had directed them to a central chamber, deep within, at the heart of the ship. The room was circular, filled with softly glowing panels that shimmered like liquid glass. In the center stood a pedestal, the same that had projected the holographic figure earlier. Are you sure about this? Mara asked quietly. Elias nodded. If what it says is true, then this isn't just alien tech. It's our history. We owe it to every generation that came before us. He stepped forward. The pedestal pulsed once, recognizing movement. A slit appeared in its surface, barely large enough for a hand. The AI's voice spoke again, soft but commanding. One drop of blood, that is all the core requires to know you. Elias took a breath. A small needle glinted in the dim light as he pricked his finger and let a single drop fall into the slit. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire chamber came alive. Light raced through the walls, flowing in intricate circuits. The floor shifted beneath them, the air vibrating with unseen energy. Symbols burned bright across the panels, human and alien shapes intertwined. The ship spoke once more, but this time its voice was no longer distant. It filled the room, warm, alive, recognition complete, lineage confirmed. Mara's eyes widened. Confirmed? Elias, what does that mean? Elias barely heard her. The light from the pedestal was reflecting in his eyes, and for a moment he saw images, flashes of memory not his own. Great ships crossing nebulae, cities of glass and light, then fire, endless fire devouring the stars. The final journey to a distant blue world. A woman's voice whispering a name, his name, though it couldn't be his. He stumbled back, gasping, clutching the edge of the pedestal. Commander! Mara caught him. Elias, what happened? He blinked rapidly, breathing hard. I saw them, the ones who came before. They knew this would happen. They left this for us. The AI spoke again. The core is awake, the Seraph legacy has returned. A deep hum rolled through the ship as its systems fully powered on. Outside, waves crashed violently as the ocean reacted to the sudden surge of energy. The alien craft began to lift, rising slightly above the water's surface, glowing brighter with every passing second. The horizon's alarms blared. "Energy spike! The artifact is moving!" Mara shouted into her comm. "All hands, hold positions. Don't interfere." The ship rose a few meters, suspended in the air, water streaming from its surface. Its underbelly glowed with symbols that formed into a vast ring of light. The AI's voice echoed across the sea. "This world's children have awakened the stars once more. The call has been sent, the others will hear." "The others?" Elias demanded. "Who are you calling?" "The lost kin," said the voice. "Those who fled farther than we did. If they survived, they will answer. And if the hunters endured, they will come as well." The glow faded and the ship settled back onto the waves, silent once more. Elias looked at Mara, the reality sinking in. "We didn't just find history," he said quietly. "We've just lit a beacon." Mara's gaze turned to the dark horizon. "Then we'd better hope our ancestors weren't the only ones who were good at surviving." The ocean was calm again. Too calm, the kind of stillness that came after something vast had stirred. The alien ship floated beside the Annis horizon, its metallic skin pulsing with faint veins of light that rippled outward in quiet rhythm. Every few minutes, the glow would rise and fall like a heart. Beat, then settle back into stillness. The sea mirrored the strange radiance, reflecting soft blues across the waves. Commander Elias Rand stood on the upper deck, staring at the horizon. He hadn't slept since the activation. The last 12 hours had changed everything, not just for him, but for humanity. They had awakened something ancient, and that something had begun to reach out. Behind him, Dr. Mara Ishikawa approached, her face lit by the glow from her tablet. She stopped beside him, her expression both anxious and awestruck. "The transmissions haven't stopped," he said. "The ship's been sending out bursts every hour on frequencies we can't even detect properly. Our instruments only catch fragments." Elias didn't look away from the water. "You think anyone's hearing it?" Mara hesitated. "Someone will, somewhere." The thought hung between them like the weight of a distant storm. Inside the ship's lab, scientists huddled around monitors displaying the strange pulses. Each signal was different, some short, some long, but every one carried a pattern that felt deliberate. There was structure, repetition, even something like rhythm. It wasn't just a beacon, it was communication. But with whom? Elias entered the lab, his boots echoing across the metal floor. "Report." One of the technicians looked up. "We've triangulated the pulse directions. It's broadcasting outward, not just into orbit, but deep into interstellar space. We estimate the signals could reach at least 30 light-years if sustained." Mara turned her tablet toward him. "It's like it's calling across a map we can't see, a network." The young officer at the console added nervously, "Or a distress signal." Elias frowned but didn't answer. The alien voice, the ship's AI, had gone silent since its last message. Its systems still pulsed, its light still breathed, but it hadn't spoken again. It was waiting for something, listening, and then, late that night, the waiting ended. It began as a whisper through static, a low, broken tone across their instruments. At first the crew assumed it was background noise, the usual chatter of cosmic radiation, but then it repeated. The same frequency, the same sequence, again and again. "Commander," said Voss from communications, "you might want to see this." Elias rushed to the comms room. On the screen, a faint waveform pulsed, clean, repeating, precise, not random. "It's a reply," Mara said quietly. "Someone heard." Voss swallowed hard. "But it's not coming from orbit, sir. It's coming from beyond the system, deep space." Everyone stared. For a moment no one spoke. The realization hit all at once. Humanity was no longer shouting into the void. They had been answered. The alien ship stirred. The hull lights shifted from blue to white, lines of energy rippling down its surface. The AI's voice returned, stronger this time, carrying a warmth that filled the air. The children of Asha are heard. The kin have survived. Mara's hand trembled around her tablet. It received the reply directly. The alien ship is communicating with whatever sent that signal. Can you translate? Elias asked. Not yet. The data is beyond human encryption limits, but the ship, it's decoding it on its own. The AI continued, voice almost reverent. The voices of the stars answer once more. After 10 millennia, the silence is broken. The ship's surface brightened again, illuminating the entire ocean around it in shimmering white. The waves glowed faintly like liquid glass. Mara looked up through the observation window, her voice soft. Commander, look. High above the horizon, the night sky shimmered. Faint streaks of light moved, not meteors but controlled, deliberate. Dozens of them. They cut through the upper atmosphere, leaving trails of energy that faded like whispers. Are those satellites? Voss stammered. No, said Elias quietly. They're answering. As the streaks disappeared, the sea fell silent again, save for the faint hum of the alien vessel. The AI spoke once more, its tone changed, almost joyful. The signal was received by the surviving arcs. They come. Mara's eyes widened. There are others? Yes, said the voice. The Yanari was not alone. Of the 12 arcs that fled the fall, 3 yet endure. They return to the blue world, their cradle. They follow the call. Elias stared at the displays, disbelief and wonder warring within him. How long until they arrive? 2 of your months, the AI said. They travel faster than light. Their path is old, carved through forgotten corridors of space. Voss exhaled sharply. Sir, that means we're about to have visitors. Elias looked out at the glowing ship, his voice low but steady. Then we'd better be ready to meet our family. Over the next days, the world changed. What began as a classified naval recovery became the most important secret in human history. Governments met behind sealed doors. Satellites were redirected. Orbital telescopes retuned. The alien ship was moved to a fortified ocean platform under international control. Though control was an illusion, the vessel obeyed only itself. The news inevitably began to leak. Strange lights over the Pacific, anonymous footage of a floating object. A few scientists began to whisper that the ocean had given back something that didn't belong to Earth, or perhaps belonged to it more than anyone knew, and then, the ship spoke to all of them. Without warning, every major communications network, satellites, data grids, even old analog frequencies, blinked for a moment. Then a single image appeared, the ship, floating on a sea of stars. The voice echoed, calm and clear, translated in every known language. Children of Earth, we are your memory, we are your beginning, and we have come home. The world froze. Across every continent, millions of people stopped what they were doing to listen. Soldiers, scientists, children, all staring at screens that showed the same thing, a ship older than civilization itself, and a truth too vast to deny. Mara stood beside Elias on the platform's command bridge as the transmission ended. The silence that followed was almost spiritual. They know now, she said quietly. Elias nodded. We all do. He looked out over the ship, its light now softer, almost gentle. You think the world's ready for this? Mara smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the glow. Doesn't matter if we're ready, it's already here. That night, as the wind swept across the open sea, Elias returned alone to the alien ship. He stepped through the open corridor, now fully illuminated by warm golden light, and walked until he reached the chamber where the pods rested. The ancient beings within still lay motionless, but their crystalline shells now pulsed softly, like dreams stirring. The AI's voice greeted him quietly. You seek answers still. Elias stopped before the central core. You said our ancestors fled a war. What kind of enemy could destroy a civilization that could build this? The light dimmed slightly, like the AI was remembering. We called them the ecliptics, devourers of light. They erased entire suns, feeding on life and energy alike. They were not born of hunger but of despair. They wished for nothing but silence. Elias felt the weight of the words settle deep in his chest. And do you think they're still out there? I do not know, the AI said softly, but I sense the echo of their kind, distant, waiting. Elias looked at the pods again, at the preserved faces of those who had sacrificed everything to ensure their lineage would live. He felt both pride and sorrow. Pride that humanity had endured, sorrow that they might face the same darkness again. What do we do if they come? He asked. The AI's response was simple. Then you do what we could not. You fight. Elias nodded slowly. That's one thing we're very good at. The AI's tone warmed slightly. I believe that. The blood of survivors runs strong. He turned to leave but paused at the door. When your kin arrive, what then? Then, said the voice, you will learn who you truly are, and what you were meant to become. Elias stepped out into the cool night air. The stars above shimmered, endless and ancient. Somewhere out there, ships were already on their way, carrying beings who shared humanity's face, their history, their legacy. The ocean reflected the stars like a mirror, and for the first time in history, humanity looked at the night sky and knew it was not looking outward, but homeward. 2 months later, the skies over Earth no longer looked the same. Night after night, streaks of faint light shimmered in orbit, tiny trails left by arriving objects. They were too fast for human eyes to follow, too controlled to be meteors. The alien AI aboard the Inari had told them this day would come. Humanity had waited with restless hope and quiet fear. Now, it was happening. Commander Elias Rand stood again on the deck of NS Horizon, surrounded by a fleet of ships and aircraft. The Pacific was calm, as though the sea itself understood something sacred was about to begin. Dr. Mara Ishikawa stood beside him, her hair whipping in the ocean breeze. Her voice trembled. They're entering atmosphere. Above them, the clouds began to glow. Lines of fire cut through the upper sky, not like weapons but like burning comets drawing deliberate paths. Dozens of them, maybe more. Each one slowed as it descended, controlled and graceful. They didn't crash, they landed. The ocean rippled as immense shapes touched down, creating waves that spread in wide, rhythmic circles. From the mist, the ships emerged, sleek, silver, curved like the shells of ancient creatures. They hovered above the water, not disturbing it, as though they remembered how fragile the sea was. The alien AI's voice resonated through the Inari systems, now projected across the fleet. The arcs of the children return. The kin of the old world greet their home. Every human aboard the Horizon froze as one of the ships descended closer. Its hull bore markings identical to the Inari's, glowing softly with golden symbols. A light beam extended downward, not as a weapon, but as a bridge of shimmering energy that connected the alien ship to the human vessel. Commander Rain, said the AI. They wish to meet their descendants. Elias took a slow breath. Open the path. The bridge of light extended across the ocean, solid enough to walk on. Elias and Mara stepped forward together, their boots echoing faintly on the glowing surface. Each step brought them closer to something beyond history, beyond comprehension. When they reached the alien vessel, the air around them shimmered. A doorway opened, circular and smooth, revealing a chamber filled with soft golden light. Figures waited inside. They were tall, graceful, with features almost human. Their skin had a faint iridescence, and their eyes glowed like the reflection of stars on water. Their clothing flowed like woven light, and when they moved, the air hummed faintly, as though even gravity treated them gently. One stepped forward, clearly their leader. She spoke, her voice layered, carrying the echo of many tongues but still perfectly clear in English. Children of Earth, she said softly. The legacy lives. Elias stood firm but couldn't hide the awe in his voice. You're real. The being smiled, a very human smile, as real as you, as human as you. The blood remembers. Mara stepped forward. You're saying we came from you? In part, said the alien woman. You are the children of our refuge. When our world burned, we fled across the void, carrying the seeds of life we could not let die. We chose this world, blue and alive, because it could protect what we were. Over generations you became its children, its stewards. Elias felt a chill run through him. And now you've come back. She nodded. Slowly. To see what became of our hope, to see if our dreams survived. The chamber brightened as more of the aliens approached. Their eyes filled with quiet wonder as they looked upon their distant descendants. Not as strangers, but as family. They studied the humans' uniforms, their tools, the lines of age and experience on their faces. You have built cities that touch the clouds, one of them said softly. You've mastered machines that sing through the void. You have become what we once were, and perhaps more. Mara's voice trembled. Why now? Why return after so long? The leader looked toward the horizon. Because the silence has ended. The Dark Ones stir again. The words hung like ice. Elias frowned. The Ecliptics? Yes, the alien said. We've felt their hunger return in the void. Worlds have gone dark again. When your signal reached us, we knew the time had come. You are not alone in this fight, but neither are you untouched by it. The sea wind howled faintly through the doorway. Mara glanced at Elias. They'll come here? The alien's eyes softened. If they find you, yes. But you are stronger than we were. You've learned to survive through chaos and war. You've become resilient, something our kind forgot. Elias straightened, resolve hardening in his chest. Then we'll fight them. If humanity was born from your people, then it's time we finished what you started. The alien leader smiled again, faint but proud. That is why we returned. In the days that followed, the alien ships anchored above the ocean, joining the human fleet in a silent alliance. Scientists and engineers worked side by side, translating knowledge, merging technologies. For the first time, Earth's nations cooperated fully, not out of politics but necessity. The United Earth Defense Initiative was born. Humanity had faced wars, plagues, and extinction, but this time they would face the stars together. Inside the Inari, the ancient AI merged with human systems, sharing blueprints and data long thought impossible. Anti-gravity drives, energy shields, and materials that could bend light. The humans learned fast. Faster than even the aliens expected. We thought you'd forgotten, one of the alien scientists admitted to Mara, but you only slept. The spark never left you. Mara smiled as she watched the combined teams test a new drive coil glowing with alien energy and human ingenuity. We just needed to be reminded. A few weeks later, the first hybrid vessel, human-built, alien-enhanced, rose from the Pacific. It wasn't large, but it was powerful. Its hull shimmered with both human metal and alien alloy, its core powered by a fusion of science and memory. They named it the Dawnfire. Commander Elias Rains stood on its command deck as engines came online. Through the viewport, the ocean stretched endlessly, glowing beneath the morning sun. The AI's voice echoed through the ship. The path is ready, Commander. The corridors of the stars await. Mara joined him, her gaze distant but calm. You realize what this means. We're about to leave the planet that birthed us twice. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe it's time we finally go home. He turned toward the alien leader who stood among them, a bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. She inclined her head. You carry more than our legacy now. You carry the memory of every soul that dreamed of the stars. Then we won't let them down, Elias said. The engines roared. The ship trembled, light rippling along its hull like living fire. Slowly the Dawnfire lifted off, water cascading from its flanks, the ocean sparkling below. Other ships followed, rising from the waves in graceful arcs. Humanity's first true fleet of the stars. As they climbed higher, clouds parted, revealing the curve of Earth, blue and green and alive. The home they had once thought small, now the cradle of something vast. The alien AI's voice spoke once more, softer now, reverent. For 10,000 years I waited beneath your oceans. I watched your kind grow and stumble and rise again. You have done what we could not. You learned to live together. You became what we only dreamed of. Go, children of Earth. The stars remember you. Elias looked out into the void, endless and full of light. Then let's remind them who we are. The Dawnfire surged forward, a beam of light cutting through the heavens. Behind it, the fleet followed, human and alien together, their engines painting bright trails across the stars. The signal from Earth followed them, echoing into the galaxy. We were born of you. But we are our own. We are humanity. We remember. From the shores of Earth, billions watched as the streaks of light disappeared into the night. Children pointed upward, whispering stories of ships that rose from the sea to reach the stars. Elders wept quietly, knowing they had just witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in human history. Somewhere, deep beneath the ocean where it all began, the water was calm once more, silent, but not empty. The old ship, the Yanari, rested in peace, its lights dimmed but still glowing faintly, like a heartbeat. The ghosts beneath the waves had awakened, and their children had finally answered the call. Humanity had come full circle, not just survivors but inheritors of the stars.